for crying out loud. Welcome back to Don's Life. Welcome to the channel. Thanks for joining today. Today we are going to apply some Bronze HyperDip to the GMC Sierra AT4 to tie in the new wheels. Let's go. You may notice lately I've been wearing the same clothes in the last batch of videos. That's because we've been given some great weather here in Saskatoon, Canada, and I'm taking advantage of it and catching up on some videos I've been meaning to put together. You know, there is something bothering me I wanted to share with you. This is my space in the Don's Life garage here. I do share it with my wife. She parks her vehicle in here. So Mrs. Don's Life also has like a little bit of a craft area there. She does some, you know, little knickknacks and stuff like that. But why is there a double standard when it comes to how we treat each other's spaces? Have a look over here. We got open drawers on my toolboxes. That is not me. But if I did that in the house, there would be some problems. So when Mrs. Don's Life watches this video, she'll know she's in trouble without me saying anything. Okay, so let me share with you exactly what I'm thinking. So today we're going to apply HyperDip to the black lettering on the GMC logo here. Actually, we'll apply it to the whole thing and then we'll just peel off the areas that we don't want. I'll make sure that I show you in depth what that process looks like in case you haven't seen some of my previous videos. Let's go to the back. I just want to show you something with the tailgate because we're not going to HyperDip that today, and I'll explain why. Okay, so back here we have our tailgate with this black emblem already in place. This has actually been HyperDipped, the whole thing, so the inside letters as well as the surrounds. So I've actually ordered some vinyl samples that are in bronze to see what matches the wheels best. So we are not going to touch this one today because if I HyperDipped it, it would actually bond to the outside as well and it wouldn't peel off. So I'm gonna leave this, do this one in vinyl to see how it matches. Because the front one has no HyperDip on it, we're gonna do the HyperDip on there because it'll be easier to work with. So we'll leave this alone for now. We'll wait for that vinyl to come in to decide what's gonna be better. But for the purpose of the video, we're just gonna stick to the HyperDip up front, and I got something else we're gonna do. So I thought about doing these, but I think I'm gonna wait for the vinyl to come in to decide if I wanna do HyperDip here or vinyl on this piece right there, because I want it to tie into the wheels. But I did decide that today in the video, we are going to HyperDip our front tow hooks. So we'll have to take these off, HyperDip them, put them back on. I probably don't have to take them off, but I wanna do a thorough job and get all around the sides and get the right thickness all the way around. The good news is if we don't like it, we peel it off, but at least it'll give us that inspiration or a good idea of what these in bronze would look like, this in bronze would look like, and how it's gonna tie into the new wheels that we bought. And we are doing other things to the truck, but I can only do one step at a time. So let's go. I'm going to need an 18mm socket and a wrench so I can get those bolts out of there, and probably a flashlight. While we got it out, as you can see, I did use the assistance of a breaker bar because it wasn't enough for the impact to take off, and using just a ratchet by hand, I wasn't able to get the leverage that I needed because it's a pretty tight area to work within. So if you got some extra tools like this, it only helps. Now you may have noticed as I was trying to take this out, there was a bolt that was hitting another bolt on the way out. If you twist this ever so slightly, you can pull that bolt out at the same time and not have to remove anything extra, which is very handy. Now we just have to do the same thing to the other side, clean these up, mask out the area we want to spray on the emblems, and get dipping. So I'm gonna clean these up, but I'm only gonna HyperDip probably up to about here, because from here behind, you don't even see them. So we'll just mask this off and then make sure this is all cleaned with alcohol. and then we'll apply our first coats, but we've also got a mask around the emblem here. Now, if you've used HyperDip before, you actually want to overspray because you're gonna end up peeling it wherever there is a natural seam or a gap. That's where it's gonna wanna tear because that's where the film's the weakest. So we're just going to mask this out, stuff something in there. You'll see as we do it, it'll become clear and should have a good result. We are pretty much ready to go. We got the emblem masked out. Let me show you some details here. I'll grab the flashlight just in case. But this clear acrylic plastic here, we're gonna spray that with HyperDip as well as the black piece on the inside. There is a crevice in there. So when I spray the film on and build up the coats, all of this is gonna be covered in bronze HyperDip. But then, once it's dry, we're going to peel the outside. And if we do it right, it shouldn't peel any of the inside. And then when we take all the masking off, you'll see the HyperDip is only covering the inside. Now, a few things about HyperDip or Plasti Dip if you've never used them before. Even coats is absolutely necessary. There is a process. You need it thick enough, but not too thin. If it's too thin, it's annoying to remove. If it's too thick, you could get runs. So there is kind of a sweet spot. I'll probably do 7 to 8 coats, somewhere in there. And ambient temperature plays a role too. So if you have too much humidity, it's not going to set properly or cure properly, and it probably won't have the strength and durability that you're looking for. I haven't had a problem because I've always been doing my HyperDip or Plasti Dip in the proper conditions. I did wheels and for almost 2 years they were just fine. I just recently took them off and put the bronze wheels on. And just before we get started, we're going to use some alcohol, clean up the emblem, and give these tow hooks a final clean. And I'm going to put some masking paper down, and we're just going to keep building up the coats until we get there. See what it looks like. Sometimes a little ingenuity is all you need. I found this cardboard crate box. Now I can have these standing up so we can get all the angles without having to worry about flipping them over and letting them dry for extended periods on either side. So this is ready to go, as is the emblem. Let's start with the first coat. So I'm calling an audible. We're gonna pull the truck in so we can heat up the garage a little bit. I find it's a little too chilly out right now to probably get the result that we're looking for. So keep that in mind. Your ambient temperature, you want probably 75 degrees or better, but not too hot. Room temperature is fine. Right now it's a little too chilly for that. So we're gonna pull the truck in and then we're going to get started. Now you may want to use a respirator. I am just going to use this mask here because this is a pretty well ventilated area, but a respirator would be the proper way to do it. I don't plan on inhaling this. I also changed my coat too because I don't want the fumes getting on the hoodie that I was wearing. But we'll strap this on here, shake this for a minute, and then it's going to be 3 to 4 passes just to create a bit of a tap coat. And then after that, it's going to be 6, 7, maybe 8 wet coats, and we're going to do about 15-20 minutes in between each coat of dry time. All right, we're halfway there. We got the heater on, you might hear it in the background. Coverage is going pretty good. I am taking my time though. You can still see a bit of a red hue at some of the angles. So we'll just keep building up these coats. The emblem's a little more flat, so it almost looks like it's done, but we're just gonna continue, get those 6 to 8 coats. This would be coat number 4. All right, I think I'm gonna do one more coat on the emblem because it's easier to peel the thicker the product is. And then for these guys here, I'm going to actually lift them out of the holders that I made and try to spray them on the inside a little better. Here, I'll lift this up. But here's a little preview of the rims in the HyperDip. So, not too bad. Not too bad at all. So, let me finish these up. Extra coat on each. And then, we'll have to reassemble everything and take a look. All right, we got everything done. We got all the coats that we wanted. I started taking the masking off so you can see the old red there. I think this is gonna look pretty darn good. So I'm gonna quickly remount these, the same process as before, just in reverse. And then we will go to the emblem on the grill and we'll peel off all the HyperDip that we don't want anymore. Then we'll take down all the paper and then we'll do a reveal. Let's go. Okay, I'm starting to peel the HyperDip. I already did the G, so you would kind of see what we want to end up with here, but I'm gonna show you a couple tricks. So remember, we just want to peel the spot that's on the acrylic. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the tape a little bit, and I'm going to use the tape to help me. So just watch this here. Actually, I'll trade sides. I'll use the tape to help me. It'll pull the film at the same time. So that's the idea. I'm using the tape to help me pull the film. And you can see it's ripping a nice clean line. So we just have to take our time. And if it breaks, it's not a big deal. The film itself stays together. So there, we just have to do that all the way around. Okay, we got all the HyperDip peeled. We are going to back up into the sunlight and we're gonna pull all the paper off and we'll have a look, see what it looks like. Okay, let's take this paper off. There we go. Well, I think we did good. I think the badge and the tow hooks look pretty close to what the wheels look like. Same color family anyway, but it's not like they're touching each other, so if they're off a little bit, I think it's okay. Now I know what you might be thinking. You might be worried about overspray. You're like, hey Don, you just got overspray everywhere. Well, if you know anything about HyperDip, even if there was a little bit of overspray, I just have a damp towel. I have just combated any type of dry spray, because that's all it would end up being, that might have landed on anything. So just like that, or hose it off, we're good. So don't worry about HyperDip, it's not permanent. It can be scratched off, wiped off. If you put it on thick enough, peeled off. Pretty easy thing to do, easy DIY project. For my Canadian friends, I'm sorry I don't have a link for you. I had to pay through the nose in shipping just to get the HyperDip for today's project. But if you're in the US, I'll leave a link in the video description below. I think it's free shipping or pretty cheap shipping anywhere within the United States. I'll leave that link for you down below. Check it out if you want to do an easy project like this. But if you like today's video, hit that like button. Please consider subscribing, and we'll talk to you next time.